Before we jump in, for those of you that knew us as Midas Gold, I want to take a moment and acknowledge our new name, Perpetua Resources. When in office, Governor Otter signed every letter with our state motto, Esto Perpetua, or May She Be Perpetual. As our state creed, it is a call to action to all Idahoans to provide for our families and communities while preserving and protecting what makes Idaho so special. We took this as our inspiration when changing our name. Our project is designed to steward Idaho resources in such a way that we can provide critical resources for the American future and protect the resources of Idaho. We hope you like our new name, which we believe better reflects our values and our vision. Our vision is to develop and operate one of the highest grade open pit gold mines in the country, provide the U.S. with a source of the critical mineral antimony, and restore an abandoned brownfield site. And with that, I'll quickly point out our disclaimer on slide 2. Go ahead and flip to slide 2. All right, and next slide, please, to get into our presentation. Why Perpetua Resources? Quite simply, our investment has never been stronger. First and foremost, we plan to redevelop one of the largest, lowest cost, and long life gold projects in the U.S. Given our low costs, the Stibnite Gold Project has great economics with a 15-year reserve life and less than 3-year payback period. And we have a valuable byproduct in antimony, which is a critical mineral, and Perpetua could help reestablish primary production in the U.S. and supply more than 35% of the country's demand. Our project is located in one of the best mining jurisdictions in the world, and we have strong community support. This strong support we have in Idaho has been built over the past decade in our communities and politicians. They have seen how our commitment to responsible mining and restoration at Stibnite. We are well positioned to deliver environmental solutions and create value for all of our stakeholders. Before looking at the project details, I just want to take a moment to mention one of the many reasons we are so unique on slide 4. We will take an abandoned area after 100 years of mining, most of which was to support World War II and the Korean War, and we will use a sustainable approach to restore the environment and develop a modern mining project with critical mineral production. We get to solve environmental issues through funding and development of our world-class asset. Turning to slide 5, we touch on our project highlights. The Stibnite Gold Project is one of the largest independent gold reserves in the United States, with 4.8 million ounces, and is the 7th largest reserve out of all U.S. gold deposits. In total, we have 6 million ounces of measured and indicated resources, with an additional 1.2 million ounces in inferred resources. And this slide does not include the significant antimony endowment, which has reserves of 148 million pounds and 206 million pounds in measured and indicated resources. Next slide, please. When it comes to open pit gold mines, we have one of the highest gold grade projects, with approximately 2.2 grams per ton in the first 4 years of production, and an average of 1.4 grams per ton over the 15-year mine life. And slide 7 next shows our annual gold production will average approximately 300,000 ounces per year life of mine, and more than 460,000 ounces per year in the first 4 years, which would make it the largest producing mine in the U.S. outside of the Nevada Gold Mines joint venture. Next slide, please. The Stibnite Gold Project has a low strip ratio at approximately 2.5 to 1, and combined with the high grade nature of the deposit, as well as the antimony byproduct, we will be in the lowest quartile of the global cost curve. Life of mine all-in sustaining costs will average less than $650 per ounce, and in the first 4 years will be less than $450 per ounce. All of these factors will allow the mine to generate strong free cash flows averaging $500 million per year over the 15-year life. Next slide, please. Our project's free cash flow profile demonstrates exceptional values at different gold prices as well. Using our base 1600 gold price, the project has an NPV of greater than $1.3 billion using a 5% discount rate and delivers an internal rate of return of more than 22%. We have good leverage to higher gold prices as well, where the NPV increases to approximately $1.9 billion at $1,850 gold. But most importantly, our project is resilient to lower gold prices given our solid position on the cost curve. Based on our market cap of approximately $360 million, we are trading at nearly the widest discount to NAV, despite achieving significant milestones in the last 6 months. At current prices, our stock is trading less than 20% of our net asset value, and we believe this represents a very attractive entry price for new investors. Turning to the antimony aspect of our business on the next slide, the U.S. Department of Interior have defined critical minerals as metals and non-metals essential to economic and national security, which are vulnerable to supply chain disruptions. Antimony has been identified as one of the 35 critical minerals given the U.S. has no primary production, and China, Russia, and Tajikistan dominate the world's supply with more than 90% of the global production. Historically, antimony was used for its properties of strengthening alloys and making them resistant to corrosion and as a flame retardant. Currently, antimony is being used in bearings for wind and hydro turbines, tinting for solar panels, cell phones, semiconductors, plastics, and cable sheathing. Looking forward, it is being tested for development in large storage batteries. The United States isn't the only country that has deemed antimony a critical mineral. Last month, Canada published their critical mineral list, and antimony was included, following in the footsteps of Europe, Australia, and the US. Moving to slide 11, antimony's supply side risk is exactly why we welcomed President Biden's executive order in late February on securing America's critical supply chains. His order outlined that supply chain risks and policy recommendations are to be brought forward over the next 100 days regarding semiconductor manufacturing, high-capacity batteries, critical minerals, and pharmaceuticals. Antimony is a key mineral in 3 out of these 4 areas. We are encouraged by the recognition that responsible domestic sourcing of minerals like antimony is essential to building resilient supply chains and a stronger, more sustainable American future. And Perpetua can help secure production of this critical mineral. Turning to slide 12. In fact, our project alone could supply more than 35% of annual U.S. demand over our first 6 years of production. Perpetua can play a key role in reestablishing domestic antimony production and protecting America's energy and defense future. Turning to a look at antimony prices on slide 13. It's a known fact that the transition to a greener economy is going to be very mineral intensive. And the multiple end uses for antimony combined with the concentrate shortages and tight supply has already driven the prices up more than 90% over the past 12 months, demonstrating its strategic value as a metal in the future. Domestic production and critical minerals will allow the U.S. to secure the supplies we need for a lower carbon future. Turning to slide 14, where we will cover our unique restoration opportunity. The abandoned Stibnite mining district needs help. Today, ground and surface water are degraded by tailings left behind, unconstrained by previous operators. The East Fork and the South Fork of the Salmon River flows into an abandoned mining pit, which has blocked salmon migration to critical habitat for over 80 years. We have a plan to use the resources from mining to address these legacies. Perpetua Resources restoration and mitigation plans provide early action on water quality and legacy features, as well as concurrent restoration and reclamation for any new disturbance. The project will ultimately improve water quality, restore fish, and clean up legacy tailings and waste sites. I personally have been a lifelong advocate for conservation, and my passion is in environmental restoration. I believe strongly that industry and the environment can and must work together to restore the site. Next slide, please. Before we move into our upcoming milestones, I think it's important to provide some context, which will help frame how investors can think about where we are today. For those that haven't followed us, we began environmental studies and feedback gathering in 2010. In 2016, we submitted our plan of restoration and operations to the U.S. Forest Service, which kicked off the 4-year regulatory review under the NEPA process. We continue to gather feedback and advance environmental reviews and submitted a modified PRO in 2019. And then in August of 2020, the Forest Service released their draft environmental impact statement with a 75-day comment period, as shown on our next slide. The draft EIS concluded that our approach works. Removing legacy tailings will improve water quality, stream quality, and will increase by 23%, and we will add miles of renewed stream access for salmon. We have a lot of supporters across Idaho, and there were 10,000 letters received. 85% of the letters were positive. Today, the Forest Service is reviewing the comments, refining and improving the project before they present a final EIS and draft record of decision, which we expect by the end of the third quarter of this year. So over the last decade, we have been diligently and thoughtfully advancing study work and progressing through the permitting process while continually improving and refining our project. Next slide, please. Throughout the presentation today, I've covered several of our recent achievements. I would also just highlight that we were approved to list on NASDAQ earlier this year and have now been trading on the exchange since mid-February. Our liquidity has more than doubled, and we expect this milestone to continue paying dividends well into the future by giving us greater access to capital. And we could see significant demand for our shares as we become eligible for index inclusion. Other near-term milestones include that we expect to receive a final environmental impact statement and draft record of decision in Q3 of this year, with a final record of decision by the end of this year, followed by ancillary permits and project financing in 22. Turning to slide 18. Despite all of our recent achievements and near-term catalysts, we continue to be significantly undervalued relative to our peer group, with nearly all of the pre-permitted projects trading at a multiple of 2 to 3 times where we are trading. And some fully permitted companies traded at significant premiums to their net asset value. We expect a significant re-rating to occur as we advance through the permitting process, but also believe there is room to grow today as we begin to share our investment thesis with a broader investor group who recognize the strategic value of our asset for its antimony, as well as thematic investors looking for companies that are making a true difference environmentally. Now, wrapping up on slide 19, Perpetua Resources is unique because we bring solutions. We have a large, low cost and high grade open pit gold mine. We will offer the only domestic mine source of the critical mineral antimony, and we will use mine development to fund restoration at an abandoned mine site. Not only is our opportunity unique, but it is also the right time. Our company is trading at a mere 19% of our project's value at $1,850 gold prices. And we have so many exciting milestones and catalysts just around the corner after a decade of engineering work, stakeholder feedback, and regulatory review. As we hit our permitting milestones, we expect our valuation to significantly improve, creating value for our long-term shareholders. With that, I want to thank you for your interest in Idaho and Perpetua Resources and for this opportunity to be alongside the governor and some of Idaho's finest companies.
So let's get the Q&A on the go here. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Laurel. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, first question we have is, how much does Perpetua expect to spend on the legacy restoration?
Well, probably there's different parts of the legacy restoration, and the major parts of it we will be doing currently with our mining operations. So what is unique about what we're doing right now is that in our plan of restoration and operations, we are restoring as we go. So we have a concurrent, as we work in one mining pit, we'll be filling that up and then we'll be restoring the stream back over it. And that will happen in about year 7 or 9 of the operations. And then we will be working at doing that concurrently rather than normal practice in historic mining has always been that you reclaim at the end of your project, where we will be doing it working concurrent with the mining project while we're up there working on the project, have all the big equipment up there, mine and doing it as we mine.
Thank you, Laurel. Sorry, go on, Deborah.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I know you went through the explanation at the beginning, but I think we had a late joiner that was just asking why the name changed to Perpetua. It's a nice story, so I think it is worth repeating.
Sure. We felt that our name did not reflect who we are and what we do, our mission, our vision, as we are moving forward into this next stage of our project, finalizing the permitting. And Esto Perpetua is our state motto. It means that our resources, in Idaho, they go on forever. We will be. And Governor Otter, when he was governor, he signed all of his letters Esto Perpetua. And in Idaho, when you take 4th grade state history, everybody learns what your state motto is. And it's Esto Perpetua. It's on our state seal where they identify mining and timber and ag as our main sources of our economy. And we thought it was only appropriate to adopt that as the Idaho Mining Company. And it also reflects on the historic mining that we've done in Idaho as well, and us being able to go into an area that's abandoned to be able to restore that and continue on using those natural resources.
Oh, thank you for that. Laurel, a question. As a conservationist, maybe you can walk us through the decision to work for a mining company.
So that's a great question. I have always been an advocate for conservation throughout my career. I have, especially, there are different kinds of advocacy you can do. You can advocate that people should be environmentally minded and conservation minded, or you can be the type of advocate that truly believes that we need to have environmental restoration on the ground. And that's where my heart's always been in my work, is that environmental restoration means bringing people together, identifying a workable solution, and then actually doing it. And that's what attracted me so much to this project, because that's exactly what it does. We're we see a problem that needs to be addressed. The economy and the environment need to work together in order to get it done. Having come from some government work, I do know that government does not have the significant funds to go in and do a restoration area in a way that it should be done the right way. And so, you know, this work, this is what attracted me to this company. And it's not lighthearted work. It's challenging, and it's getting people to sit down together and agree on things. It's finding solutions. It's bringing industry to the table along with the environment. But it is so rewarding to know that our legacy will be to leave Stibnite better than we found it, and to bring prosperity to Idaho's families.
Well, that's an excellent answer. And ESG, environmental, social, responsible mining, is something super near and dear to my heart personally too. So actually the entire panel today, I'd like to acknowledge everybody's, and at this moment, obviously, Laurel, thank you for your commitment to that, because it goes hand in hand, obviously. And it's nice that it's in the forefront of conversation these days. So excuse me, where are we at with the permitting process?
Well, the NEPA process is designed to be iterative, right? It uses data, scientific analysis, public feedback to ultimately reduce potential impacts, right, to the environment. And this process is working to make our project better. In fact, in 2020, at the comment period, it helped identify some opportunities to improve environmental outcomes that are part of the project. Reducing the project footprint, additional pit backfilling, reductions in water temperature, improvements to water quality. We delivered these concepts to the Forest Service in response to comments on the draft EIS. And now it's up to the agency to determine which, if any, improvements might be made or would be included in the plan. And I can truly say that, well, the NEPA process is not for sissies, right? It is a tough, expensive, bureaucratic process, but it truly has made our project better.
Wonderful, wonderful. And it sounds, I mean, you mentioned 85% of the letters came back positive, so that answered that. Deborah, do you have anything on the EIS?
No, I think that was a really good summary. It's interesting that we hadn't met with Perpetua or Midas previously, so it's nice to hear the story. It's also nice to see a strong female CEO. I know we're not supposed to be biased or whatever, but it's always nice to see, because it really is an underrepresented thing. So congrats on the company. I think it's a fantastic company. You've obviously been around in the state for a long time, and it's nice to see more entrants. I'm sure the landscape's changed over time, so it's good to see. Can you comment on that as you see more people acquiring assets?
Sure. You know, it wasn't easy also coming into a male-dominated industry. There are a lot of very strong women in mining. We've been able to connect and partner with some great groups, Women in Mining, that's based out of Nevada. But it's been interesting. We have about 30% of our company are women. We're a small company right now, of course, but what we have seen as we have become closer to getting our record of decision and building the company out, about 500 positions will be available once we're up and operating. We have discovered that in order to expand the diversity of this project, of our company, that women are a little more comfortable coming to a company or applying for a job at a company where they know there are women in leadership and there are other women already there that have been there from the beginning. And I think that's important for diversity in the workforce and in the company and in the industry. So we've seen that, and it's been rewarding and a little unexpected, but we're embracing it because we think it's the right way to go.
That's excellent. And speaking of diversity, I was just thinking about diversity in the roles. So can you give us just a ballpark? How many people do you have working on the environmental side of, as well as the technical side? Like what's the breakdown?
Oh boy. What's so interesting about our project is we have our permitting department, we have our development, we have our HR, we have our public affairs, right? And they can't work separately as you're going through this permitting process. They need to work together. So it's important when we have questions or inquiries from agencies about certain aspects of the project that the development team is in there and help working with the permitting team on answering those questions, because they have their insight in the development of the project and the permitting have theirs. So we have 37 employees, and I can tell you that and our focus is on permitting, and in getting through this permitting process, we intersect all of these departments intersect. If public affairs has something they need answered for the public, they send it out to get development and permitting responses on it. And I think that has been also a rewarding part of this, of helping lead this team of amazing employees. There are no boundaries. Their hearts are as passionate about getting this project permitting and moving forward as anyone in leadership, all the way throughout the company. So it takes a team effort to do that.
I can imagine so, especially working with legacy issues and bringing that modern approach, the genuine desire to bring it forward with the environmental focus as well. I'm wondering about the forecast on antimony prices. Do you have any information on that?
We don't. We are really working. We do know that they've increased. I mentioned 90%. It's in the U.S., I think, and even with President Biden's recent executive order, I think the U.S. is looking into studying their supply chains. Where are the breaks in international, where we get in other international critical mineral supplies? So I think even the government is trying to figure that out, and I'm not sure. I think this is an awakening that everyone in the U.S. that deals with manufacturing and has had delays in their supply chains are trying to figure out. I guess that's a good thing from COVID, that it's really made us aware. This area, the Stibnite historic mining area, is a very strong, of course, stibnite, antimony. It's a mineral there, and they mined that during World War II and the Korean War, and used it in munitions and in some of the tanks and the equipment for hardening that they did it then. It's very rich in a very high grade antimony. So I think that as the government studies more and we learn more about the supply chains and the risk to those supply chains with critical minerals, that it's only going to make us more aware, and manufacturing more aware of where they need to source their raw materials.
Okay, absolutely. A couple audience questions have come in. A lot of your current employees are Idahoans or based in Idaho. Will you continue this practice once you go into construction and operations to increase economic opportunity throughout the state? I think you semi-answered that one.
Yeah, so we will. We have always said, in working with our communities, that we will hire local first. We have done some studies, and right now, because we're starting to advance into this area, training. We will provide opportunities to train local Idahoans. One of the things we hear the most from rural Idaho is that they need training. They want to have their kids stay home, be trained to be able to stay home and not have to go and leave Idaho to have a job. And we have committed to help work with them to do that. Whether it's an 18-month certificate, a 2-year associate degree, a 4-year degree, we are committed to do that. And we have told the communities we'll do that and have been working at that, towards that over the last couple of years.
Oh, what a way to empower your local community. I've worked in a lot of remote areas myself, and you see it. Especially when people don't have to leave their families, they have skills. So I look forward to hearing about the progress of that. And let's see, we have another question. Without Perpetua moving forward with their project and plan, what happens with the site and its legacies with no action or no Perpetua?
Well, if there is no action and no Perpetua, if we weren't to get permitted, this is an area that needs repair, right? It's if we've done anything and we have elevated it in the eyes of government and communities, that the tailings and the water quality and all of those contaminants that are there, that they need to be addressed. And without industry doing that, it will be very difficult to find a way to clean this up. So the no action is something that we're hoping the government is really considering, recognizing if we walk away that it will be left as the state it's in.
Sounds like that's not an option. So let's hope that the trajectory continues, the positive trajectory for your company. Let's see what else we have. I think that's it for the audience right now. Is there anything else that we've missed or haven't touched upon, Laurel, that you'd like to make sure the audience is aware of?
Well, I really appreciate the fact that this is in Idaho, that you're focusing on Idaho. We truly have some great natural resources, and I don't believe we're not the only company that that cherishes our Idaho heritage, that wants to make a difference and wants to use modern mining to help use restoration. And so I appreciate you giving us this opportunity to tell our story. And it's such an honor to be part of these other companies that are here in Idaho wanting to do the right thing.